the question that you asked earlier, and Malika, thank you for asking your question, because it's important to understand what motivates us to tackle these issues. But it's also important to have the skill set, the toolkit ready to take on the job. And we'll get into this a bit later, but some folks have described the clerk's office as mostly administrative role. Some folks have a different opinion that it's a mix of administrative and policy making. We'll start with the administrative part. And we know that one of the big responsibilities of the clerk, and one of the things that I have brought to the table, is an understanding of council rules and helping to enforce those council rules, because it's important for having a thoughtful, robust discussion. So I'll ask, I'll go through, starting with Eduardo. Can you name one council rule and its significance for public participation and for thoughtful debate?
I'll pass on that one.
Cynthia.
Yeah, I have to say I better pass. I don't have a good answer for you, sorry.
Okay, Misty?
Yeah, so I think special orders of business, when they're brought forward for action on the first time, they stifle deliberation. They also harm the public's understanding of participating. When an item is brought for introduction, that a lot of times makes people alert. We have a week or two to gather information, and then we can come back with really thoughtful answers. And that's stymied when we bring something for action. Council members themselves often aren't informed.
Thank you. Jackson?
I couldn't give you the number, but I do think the 45-minute hard time limit for public comments is something that's stated in council rules, and I don't like the lack of flexibility that gives to actually hear all of the public has to say on days when there might be a very full agenda with a lot of controversial issues.
Certainly, thank you. And then Stephanie.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if we were supposed to add numbers, but those are council rules 18.11 and 12 that I mentioned.
Even better, Misty. Stephanie?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I do know that at least the calling of emergency meetings, it's something that I have, oh my gosh, which has more to do with OMA, but that just is something that we really need us to see how we use that, especially when we talk about, government transparency, and when we talk about our ability to, collaborate with our city. So I'm glad I made Misty laugh.
Thank you. So the clerk helps folks with FOIA, and we know that sometimes there's certain exemptions that are overused, not just by the city of Evanston, but by public bodies overall. Can you name one commonly overused FOIA exemption and how you might work with the city to make sure it's not overutilized? And free to pass and give time to other folks.
Well, I can't think of a specific exception, but I do know that the difference between private and public information is something that is cited many times. I think working with, Misty mentioned our PAC officers and making sure our FOIA officers in the city understand what the difference is between the private and public information and what people are kind of entitled to receive, because FOIA is there to not, keep information from being disclosed, but mostly make sure information is actively being disclosed. So understanding the difference between those two parts.